guys, welcome to another episode of Cryptic Conversations. I'm your host, Tunes from the Crypt, and we have another very special episode in store today. It is with great pleasure and an honor of introducing a true luminary in the realm of electronic music. Today's guest is a man named Jacob Ophilas, who also goes by the stage name of Theo. From his inception into the scene at the tender age of 13, Theo has absolutely transformed into a household name and a local legend. A virtuoso behind the decks, seamlessly blending genres, he has intricately woven a tapestry of sounds that continuously transcends expectations. Emerging from the vibrant underbelly of SoCal's underground rave scene, his trajectory has unfurled to encompass prestigious stages like EDC, Lightning in a Bottle, and more, solidifying his status as a global musical icon. If you're into rave culture and specifically the early story of the 90s rave scene in Los Angeles, then you're in for a real treat. I'm extremely excited to dive into the mind of Theo as he shares his insights and story. Welcome, Theo.
Thank you. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I guess sometimes when I hear it out loud, I'm like, yeah, I have been through some shit. Very cool.
Yeah. You know, I thank you for joining me today. You know, I've been wanting to connect with you and talk with you for a while now. I know there's some interesting connections that we have, so I'm real excited to dive into this conversation with you today.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So before we get to know Theo, I want to know about Jacob. You know, tell me about your early life. Where did you grow up?
Unlike a lot of Los Angeles DJs, there are DJs that are from LA who came in later in life, you know, because a lot of people move to LA to, you know, pursue dreams and do stuff like that. But I was born in LA. I was born and raised in LA. I was actually born at the Kaiser on Sunset. So if you're familiar with Hollywood, that's where I was born. Grew up all over LA, Hollywood in the beginning, and then by USC for a while. My mom was working at USC.
Nice.
And, I lived near off of Jefferson, right by campus, and then we moved for some reason over to Anaheim Hills, and I lived in Anaheim Hills during elementary school. And then during the 6th grade, we moved to West Covina, and pretty much was West Covina until after high school. And then from there, lived around Pasadena mainly, then stayed in that area for a very long time. Ended up moving to Hawaii in 2019. And then moved to Santa Barbara in 2020, right before all the lockdowns for the pandemic. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a crazy trip. But now I'm from LA, born and raised, love LA. LA will always be home.
Yeah. So wow, I didn't realize. Yeah, you've been all over SoCal, you know, and so yeah, so I saw it on your Facebook page, you know, that you grew up in West Covina, went to West Covina High and Mount Sac, you know, and I went to Mount Sac myself, and I grew up in San Dimas, so not far from there.
Not far at all.
Yeah. So let's dive into, you know, your early story of getting into DJing and the early 90s rave scene. So can you share your earliest memories of getting involved in the SoCal rave scene and how it transitioned to becoming a DJ?
Well, I was always a DJ. So I started DJing when I was 13. And, you know, I was kind of really more into kind of just the DJ culture because, you know, where I grew up in West Covina, there was a lot of backyard and party crew DJs and stuff like that. The whole, you know, party crew scene, party flyer scene, backyard party scene. So I kind of got into that really from an outside looking in. I wasn't super heavily involved, but I was kind of more fascinated by it. And I remember specifically, I saw the movie Crush Groove when I was like 6th grade, 7th grade, and you know, seeing the DJs like Jam Master Jay on stage and stuff like that, it just kind of fascinated me.
Nice.
So I somehow talked my mother and my aunt actually to help get myself 2 turntables and a mixer from Radio Shack.
It was expensive back then, probably, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it wasn't cheap, but I
Yeah.
tried to get the cheapest I possibly could. I didn't get technique. I didn't get 1200, so
Yeah.
much later. But yeah, I pretty much taught them, and I just kind of taught myself,
Mm.
and ended up, there where I lived in West Covina, there was a DJ across the street and a DJ around the corner and a DJ up the road. So there's DJs all over the place. And you could like throw a rock and hit a DJ. And so it was a kind of a great place to kind of cultivate the love of DJing because I just was around it so much. So we had like little crews that we kind of made up during my junior high and high school days. And a good friend of mine, DJ Omar, I grew up with him, and he goes by the name Darius Alexander now. But back in the day, he was just DJ Omar, and um, we met each other in seventh grade, and he was like the only guy I knew who had like Technique 1200s at his house, and
Mm.
it was because he was part of a larger DJ crew. And I would go over to his house just so I could play on the 1200s. And yeah, that's how I just fell in love with DJing. In high school, I was DJing a lot, started DJing school dances,
Oh, okay.
started doing weddings, started doing, everything we could. And I really didn't get involved into the rave scene until after high school. Like I got into the music more before I got into the scene. I
Mm.
was listening to house music. We were listening to hip house, especially. So if you're unfamiliar with hip house, look it up. It's basically a version of house music that came out in the late '80s from Chicago that really mixed hip hop and house music
Mm.
together. And some artists from that, like Doug Lazy. But yeah, if you can check out stuff like late '80s hip house stuff, that's what I really kind of got me into house music.
Mm.
And I started getting into techno because of that, like the early '90s, full on rave stuff. And I was listening to the music before I even went to my first rave. And what ended up happening is that you used to go record shopping on Melrose. So there was, DMC, Street Sounds, Beat
Mm.
Nonstop. But even before Beat Nonstop, it was just mainly Street Sounds and DMC were the two main record stores. And we'd go down to DMC on the weekends and pick up records. And there was always the rave flyers that you could pick up right before you left. And my friends and I, would pick up these rave flyers and go back to my garage and start playing around with the records we just bought. And we thought, well, let's just go to a rave tonight. And that's how it happened. It was as simple as that. It was
Wow.
just, we got some flyers. Let's check it. We just, for some reason, like, hey, let's go check out a rave tonight. And that was in February of 1992. And our first party was at La Casa. It was a party called Messiah,
Mm.
and DJ Dan and Randy Core and a
Mm.
few others were playing that night. And I remember when I left, I was like, I want to do this. I want to be a part of this. How can I get myself involved?
And so what year was that exactly?
92.
92. Yeah.
Yep. And then what I decided to do was start trying to contact promoters, try to contact these parties. So at the end of a party, you would get a bunch of more flyers for all the upcoming events. And back in the day, they used to have phone numbers that you would call for
Yeah.
information, the DJ lineup, etc., like directions on the day of to the map point or whatever. And so I ended up calling all of these numbers on all of these flyers and would just leave a little bit of a mixtape that I had and would say, hey, I'm this new DJ. Here's a little bit of my mix. And I play it over the phone. And I asked if, if you're looking for anybody to come and play, I'm willing to come out, blah, blah, blah. Just want to be involved. And I ended up getting a call back from this guy named Coco, who went by the DJ name of the Candyman. And
Mm,
he gave me my first gig. And that was just a month later. That was in March of 92. And that party was also at La Casa in downtown LA. And that was, it was called Under the Candy Ground. And I opened up the party, and DJ Dan was there, Randy Core,
nice.
Tony Largo. So yeah, it was then. So from when I went to my first rave to when I played my first rave was only about a month. So it
Oh
was
wow.
I got myself in pretty quickly, and yeah, pretty much haven't stopped from then.
Wow. For me, it's the exact opposite. It's like I started raving in 2008. So it took me 12 years until I started DJing. It's like
Wow.
it's always been a passion, but I was always so distracted by partying. Like I never was able to sit down and focus and learn. So it's funny for you. It's like within a month you started DJing. For me, it was 15 or 12 years.
I think that the reason why it was so quickly is because I went to my first rave not with the idea of partying really. It was
Mm,
more about, like it was really about the DJing.
yeah.
I
Oh,
was
okay.
fascinated by the music.
Yeah.
Um, so luckily for me, I think I just kind of fell into that aspect of it because I was never really a big partier. I was more
Mm,
into the music side of things. So for me, it was just raving was a means to make people dance and be involved in that respect. So I just
mm,
kind of fell into that pretty quickly.
yeah. Yeah, and I like your story about, how you said you would call these numbers and you would like record your mixtape over the phone. To me, that's like a very creative, like you're a hustler, it's a very creative way to get your foot in the door, and I have a similar story, like before I DJ'd, like I had a friend and I have a little experience with graphic design. And so I just made him a flyer for free, like, hey, like here you go, I wanted to help you out like for his event. He was a promoter, right?
Yeah.
And so and then, next thing I know, it's like, oh, I DJ too, so, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door too, is like making him a flyer for free and then, getting my first gig.
It's all a hustle, man.
Yeah.
The hustles change over the time. I didn't have back then. We weren't even on the internet back then. It wasn't
Yeah.
like I could email people or reach their social media accounts. So all we had was a phone number to reach out to people, and so we just used what we had.
Yeah.
You use what you had.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. The hustle is the same. It's just the technology changes, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you're passionate about something, you're going to go after it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So how did your experience of DJing in those early pivotal years shape your perspective on music and the music industry?
Wow. I think for me, I was young. I was 18, and I didn't. And I was talking to Doc Martin and DJ Dan about this recently about how when we first started DJing raves, there was no plan for this to be a career. There was no plan for this to turn into something. It was
Oh,
just
yeah.
kids with records going out and playing at 4 o'clock in the morning to a bunch of eat out kids. So um, there wasn't any grand plan. It was just kind of, let's see how far this actually can go. For to see what it turned into, like
Yeah.
anytime I go to EDC and I see what the scene has turned into, I'm amazed.
Yeah.
Really, we were just kids, and for some reason this took off and has turned into this thing. It's kind of probably, I would imagine, very similar to like hip hop in New York, right? In
Oh,
the
yeah.
70s and the 80s,
Oh,
is that
yeah.
you have a bunch of kids doing something and it turns into this phenomenon.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think I was just kind of lucky to be at the right place at the right time to experience what I've experienced.
Mm,
Um, if I was young, if I was your age, trying to do it now, I don't know if I don't know if it would have the same results.
mm,
I think when I was doing it and when I first got into it, it was a bit more pure,
Yeah.
because it wasn't. I'm not going to say it was harder to be a DJ then, but I will say it there was a bit more of an entry to get
Oh
into
yeah, for
DJing.
sure.
And now it's really easy to be a DJ.
Oh yeah.
And back then, there was this level of entry where you had to buy turntables and
Oh
you
yeah.
had to buy records, and now
Yeah.
everything files in a computer, so it's different. Um, so I think things back then were a bit more pure. I think people's intentions were a bit more pure because
Mhm.
no one came in thinking I want to play, stadiums and play
Yeah.
10,000 people and
Yeah.
have fireworks behind me, and
Yep.
there was none of that. So it was
Yeah.
just purely like I want to go into a warehouse and make people dance, and
Yeah.
that's what I loved about it, and that's what I still love about it. So I think it's different now. I think people have different goals and different perspectives. I think
Hmm.
the people who go after it now want to be famous and rich
Yep.
and other things. And like I said, when we started, there was no famous and rich doing this. It was just you have a passion and you follow
Yeah.
your passion.
Yeah, I love that so much. I definitely agree with you, man. I know I'm younger and all that, but part of me wishes I was a part of that generation too, yeah,
I think we're born into the right place and time for all of us, right?
yeah,
I was kind of, do I feel lucky and that I got to experience what I experienced and be a part of the early rave scene in Los Angeles? Hell yeah.
yeah,
Um, it was absolutely a wonderful experience, a great time, and it honestly brought all of the good things in my life to me.
that's
You know,
awesome. I love
my
that.
my wife,
Oh
my
yeah,
friends. It's given me nothing but love, and that's why I'm glad I'm still involved.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's given you meaning to life, right?
You know, that's interesting. Yes, it's definitely provided some meaning because and I struggle with that sometimes because I'm like, at some point this ends, right?
Yeah,
At some point you gotta, I didn't, I'll be 50 in a few months, and I didn't think I would end up being, I already mentioned you. You weren't here. My wife fails to think that I mentioned her, but I did. Um,
he did. He did.
see? um, and I never thought that I'd be still doing this.
Yeah,
It was never, I didn't think that would actually happen. So um, I feel it's definitely given me a lot more than I could have ever imagined. That's for sure.
yeah. I love it. Okay, so where does the name Theo come from? I have I feel like I have an idea. Tell us about some of the key moments that help define your musical identity and yeah, where your name comes from.
Theo was just a stupid nickname I got in high school. It was really because I have chubby cheeks, so they used to call me Theo for the Chipmunks. And when I first started DJing raves, I actually wanted to get a giant green sweater, turtleneck sweater with a T on it, and rock that when I was DJing. Luckily, that never happened because I would hate for there to be pictures of that now. But yeah, so that Theo was just a stupid nickname that I got
Yeah.
in school, and the reason I spelled it the way I spelled it was because of the dash O was because my last name and starts
Oh
with
yeah.
O. So
Gotcha.
it was just kind of a play on the fact
Mm.
that my last name started with an O. And in high school, because my last name was Ophelis, so in high school, my DJ name was DJ Ophila, and I used to wear Fila shoes and
Oh,
rock
nice.
Fila a Fila shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stupid, but that's high school, and you do stupid things. So, but yeah, as far as my musical identity is concerned, I really wanted the name or what I brought to the table as far as DJing in the scene was I just wanted to be quality. Um, I didn't really want to be tied to a specific genre. Back when I first started DJing, there really was only house and techno, and then trance started, and then
Mm,
drum bass became, out of the breakbeat techno stuff, drum bass came around, and you know, and I liked so many different styles of music that I didn't want to be just associated with one thing. So that's why, even though I gained a lot of popularity when I was playing, trance, um, I didn't stick with that sound. I moved on to play more like filtered house stuff and
mm,
disco house, and I just love music, and I didn't
yeah,
really feel like I needed to just tie myself. And maybe that worked against me because there's a lot of DJs who are only one thing,
yeah.
and only been one thing throughout their entire career, or
Hmm.
they'll have pseudonyms or
Hmm.
other identities that they can play other different music.
Yeah,
I just never really wanted to go in that direction. I just was like, I play what I play, and hopefully with that comes out, that anytime I play, even if it's drum and bass or it's side trance or whatever, that it's still consistent, that I'm still being Theo.
yeah, yeah. I could definitely see the pros and cons of each avenue.
Yeah.
So you've played at various festivals and events. Can you share maybe one or two, or maybe your most memorable experience from over the years?
Um, you know, EDC this past year was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
And I've always have a good time. We've been lucky that to have these experiences. Um, Lighting a bottle was a lot of fun this
nice.
year. I've done we used to do these parties called Slinky, which are kind of a smaller kind of family friendly uh, festival, and those were really really good. Always had a good time playing there. Um, but yeah, I've had some great shows in the past, but I'm always looking towards the future. Um, I always kind of like look at what's coming next. Uh, but as far as like really standout moments, um, Audiotistic 2000,
Oh, nice.
which was at the Orange Show, and um, I just remember I was in the large hall in at the Orange Show, and I played after Nigel Richards and before DJ Dan, and all I remember is like the crowd was ginormous. It was just this crazy, this is like the start of the scene getting like
Oh, yeah,
20,000 people at parties, and it was absolutely crazy.
yeah,
Um, so just being able to play for that many people, is pretty crazy. But I so many. I think it's hard for me because
yeah. So
there's
many.
so many good times, from like small desert shows to watching the sunrise. Like I did that teleport festival this year, which was
Mm,
an art car
yeah,
festival in the middle of the desert, and that was a lot of fun. Just and it wasn't a ton of people there, but it was just the right people were there.
yeah.
So, and then like 2 weeks ago, I did Relove at the beach, and that was a lot of fun as well. Just being able to, you know, enjoy a nice summer day in Long Beach, with a bunch of dogs and a bunch of people just having a good
Yeah.
time. It was awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at your website and I was looking at these old videos of you playing at the standard rooftop.
Oh,
I missed that place, man.
yeah, those were good. Those were good summers when
Yeah.
we used to do these parties called Submerge,
Yeah.
and we did one like once a month, and yeah, it was me and myself and my buddy Rob Pointer, who's in Vegas now, and helping out a radio station there called Acid. that's promoting EDM and dance music out in Vegas, and he and I. We go way back. We did some really fun parties. We had a really good time. We were doing the standard, and then we were doing parties at King at the same time.
Mm.
And both of those were just really, really good shows. And I kind of miss doing the parties with them. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll get to do it again. But
Yeah, I miss the standard, man. The rooftop. I think it closed, right? Didn't it close?
yeah, the entire hotel is
Just
was, I guess it's sold now. So
yeah,
I'm not
damn.
sure exactly where it's at, what's going on.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, the no more standard,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Okay. This is a two-part question. Have you ever played at Burning Man? If so, how was that experience? And then after that, I have another question for you.
I can. I'm going to turn it into one part question. No.
No. Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
and there's a reason why. Nothing against Burning Man, and I've been invited to play, and I understand the kind of the feelings
Yeah.
and the transformative nature of Burning Man, and I get that, and a lot of people, good friends that I know, have felt very transformed by going to Burning Man and being part of Burning Man. I don't like the heat. I don't particularly like camping, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, and when I take
What
time
about
off,
do you like dust?
no, not a fan. And to be perfectly honest, if I'm going to take time off and I want it to be a vacation,
Hmm.
I want to totally get away from things and drink a mai tai on a beach somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's never been on my bucket list of things to do. Maybe I'll go. Even like I still have an invite to go this year, which is actually next week. But I have. It's never been something that I've actually been like, oh man, I really want to do Burning Man.
Hmm.
Just because there's a lot of work involved in
Yeah.
doing Burning Man. You
Yeah.
have to prepare yourself mentally, physically, all kinds of ways
Yeah.
to actually go and enjoy yourself there. And yeah, that's just not me.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely.
I'm glad I know that about myself, because
Yeah.
I would hate to go to Burning Man and then be like, fuck this place. This place no. So I don't want to be that guy. I'd much rather just be like, you guys go have fun with that. It's cool. Enjoy
Yeah.
yourself. Like I was talking to Doc. We were both in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago and DJing out there, and he told me he wasn't going to Burning Man this year, which surprised me. But he told me, he's like, wow, it's a lot of work. You got to do a lot of
Oh
things
yeah.
to actually play there. And I'm like, it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been, but I would maybe like to experience it once in my life. But I can definitely see, from my understanding and from what I'm hearing, it is a lot of work, and you're not going to be as comfortable as you'd like to be, So maybe I'd experience it once, but not
And
more than
I
that.
think that's the idea, is to not be comfortable
Yeah,
and to, look inward, right?
yeah,
Um, I think maybe in the beginning it would have been a better experience. I think it's definitely a bit more, I wouldn't say commercial, but overgrown.
hmm
Now it's more, and I could be wrong. I have never gone, but from the outside looking in, I mean, it definitely feels like at some point it was really, really magical, and now I think people are just, trying to still hold on to that magic as much as
yeah,
possible. Um, yeah, it's just honestly, for the conditions have never appealed to me, but
hmm
to each their own. And I hope people that go this year have a wonderful time and
yeah,
that they
definitely.
really enjoy themselves. So.
hmm Okay, so this is the second part of the question. I see you sharing about it a lot on Facebook, and I'm always laughing about it, but I don't even know what
Burning
it.
facts.
Yeah, I don't even know what it means. So can you talk about it, burning facts?
Oh, burning facts. Yeah, burning facts is always happening. Basically, what ended up happening is in 2015 or 2016. 2015, yeah. I was at work and it was during the time of Burning Man, and I made a stupid post about I had a yeah, I've worked in IT for a large healthcare organization, super corporate, and I had this candy necklace in my car, and I took a picture of me giving it to a 7 Up vending machine and asking it for if I to trade my candy for a 7 Up. And from there, I just took more and more pictures surrounding my work, and was just kind of making fun
Oh,
of
okay.
both corporate culture and
Yeah.
man culture at the same time. But really, it was um, to kind of it was mainly to poke fun at all of it, and to also for us to enjoy the sense of being at Burning Man without having to deal with Burning Man.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were stuck in a cubicle, right? And so it was really, I guess it was mainly like Seinfeld. It was the Burning Man for the rest of us. It was Festivus.
Yeah, well, I think you're committed because it seems like you do it every year now.
It's harder and harder to do it because I don't work in a super corporate environment anymore. So I try to be creative around it.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I was working in a super corporate environment, it kind of wrote itself. And now I kind of have to, but people follow it, and people actually like the stupid
Yeah.
posts I do. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just keep it going. I'm
Yeah.
not glad that no one has told me, like, from like a Burning Man perspective, like you're wrong, and you're making fun of us.
Yeah.
Everyone, I think you have to be able to laugh at yourself
Yeah.
in order to be like, oh, my wife is reminding me that we actually have thrown a Burning Man party, a Burning Fax party,
Oh,
a
yeah.
few of them, where we actually took actual fax machines and burnt them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't highly. I think my lungs are still affected. I would not recommend burning a fax machine. It's probably very toxic. But we did it once at the first one was at our house, in our backyard, and we just invited some people over, and we burnt the fax machine at the end of the Friday. And we did one at a loft in downtown LA, and then at a friend's house we did another one. So yeah, it's just been mainly friends just being stupid and
Yeah.
just making fun of both the day job. Yeah, the one at the loft. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, no, I mean
Yeah.
it's really just poking fun at all of this, because really we have to laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you're definitely committed. Burning fax machines.
I
Take
am
it to the next level.
committed as non-committal as possible. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm committed to trying to do stupid shit and make people laugh. But I mean, I don't really need to turn it into something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just it could be
Are
an
you
Instagram thing, and
are you in that Facebook group? I'm in it, and I'm always enjoying seeing the posts. It's hilarious. It's the Burning Man ticket begging group, and people beg for tickets to Burning Man, and
oh,
they
how
like,
sad.
yeah, and they're always trolling though. Like they always put like some weird post, begging for a ticket, and they're trolling.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to like look down on Burning Man. I just think it's funny to
Yeah.
like think of, you know, apply the teachings of Burning Man in an everyday, like an inner city environment. That's funny to me.
It
It's
is.
like, trying to, have people gift you shit in the real world. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just burning facts is just a way for me to just like be involved and not be involved at the same
Okay.
time.
Okay. So I'd also like to ask you, so I find it hilarious, so tell the story about I DJ'd your mom's first rave t-shirt, how that came to be.
Wow. Okay. So back in the 2000 early 2000s and the late 90s, I was pretty much on a lot of flyers, and everyone would say, oh, Theo played my first rave. Oh, you played my first rave. You played my first rave. I made a shirt back in the day that said I played your first rave. And now we're a generation on now, right? So, the kids, the DJ, the people I'm playing for now, really, it's like, yeah, I played for your mom. And so that was really where that came from, was because this year is 31 years in the scene, and
Wow. Yeah.
I am getting people coming up to me. It was like, oh, my uncle, was really into you back in the day, or
Oh, wow.
my mom told me. Yeah, so it's like, okay, so yeah, now I am spinning for the generation of people that after that I originally spun
Yeah.
for. So yeah, it really is to kind of just say, like, right now, I guess I'm multi-generational in some
Yeah.
aspect, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I DJ'd your mom's first rave.
Yeah. And here I thought I was cool because I started in 2008, but you've been DJing as long as I've been alive. So, yeah, I mean, I was born in 92. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when I put this video out too, I want to put those pictures of your shirts on here when I upload this
Sure.
video. Yeah.
That's awesome.
All
But
right.
yeah, no, that really, it's just to again, poke fun at myself, because I think if you can't laugh at yourself, if you can't have humor, I think that's the part of the thing that I don't like about the whole superstar DJ
Oh
bullshit.
yeah.
They take away the humor from it.
Oh yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
ego driven, and you have to have appearances. And I'm from an era where we laugh at ourselves, and we
Yeah.
poke fun at ourselves, and we still, can still, treat the music. The music's the most important thing to
Hmm.
me, not the personalities.
Yeah. Okay. So, how about can you talk to us about your view on how the genres started out back then and how they've changed over the years and blossomed into subgenres?
Well, I think that's just everything, right? This starts off in one direction, and then someone else puts a little bit, makes it a little bit faster, and then turns it into something else. And genres, seem to come and go. There, I mean, you have your core genres like
Yeah.
techno
Hmm.
and house, and now drum and bass. But all these offshoots, of I even just learned what rhythm is. I didn't really understand that as a genre, or
Yeah.
so it's interesting to see how many genres are just exploding and becoming popular. And I try to just listen to good music and stuff that fits as far as my DJing is concerned.
Yeah.
I like house music, I like techno music, I like drum and bass music, I like trance music. So if the way I've been approaching things lately is like, if someone wants me to play trance, I'll play trance. If someone wants me to play, drum and bass, I'll play drum and bass. I just like to DJ. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
So it's great that there's so many amazing genres to play, and it's even better because from a DJing perspective now, you'd have to have several different record collections in order to pull this off,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And now you just all I need is just to be able to download some tracks off a certain genre and go at it, um, so it's fun to be able to be playing so many different styles of music these days.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, can you also talk to us about your view on how the scene has changed over the years? I'm sure the music, the genres have an influence on how the scene has also changed over the years. If you could talk a little bit about that. I love hearing about stories about map points and everything too.
Well, the scene, what I don't like is I like it and I don't like it, is nostalgia. I think nostalgia is fun, and I get that, but I don't like to see people still living in the 90s, like, oh, it used to be so much better than this. I don't want to be the old dude at the rave. you know I don't want to be that guy who's like, yeah, well, this was so much better back when I first started. That's stupid. um
Yeah.
I had this epiphany. I was at EDC 2018, and I was at the main stage, and the music was just horrible, absolutely horrible.
What year?
2018, and but yet there was thousands of kids going off. There was just a sea of people going off to this, what
Yeah.
I thought was bad music, right?
Hmm.
And I realized something. Who am I to tell them this is wrong or
Hmm.
this is bad?
Yeah.
Just because I was at a party, 30 years ago, that doesn't mean shit. So the
Yeah.
way I look at it really is, have your fun, enjoy it. But what I would suggest, and um, when I meet new DJs, I do, if they want to talk, I try to mentor as much as possible, um, without being preachy. But I do always recommend that people understand the roots, that if you really love something, if you really want to be involved in the culture, if you really find that want to be a truly a part of something, then get to learn about it. Get to learn the roots, get to learn how it started. Realizing that techno is American made, that it's Detroit. That we have a rich history of electronic music and rave. And the rave, in the U.S. to me started in L.A. And, so get to learn it, get to know it, get to understand, how the scene evolved and how it grew.
Yeah.
And because honestly, EDC wasn't born overnight. And the kids going to their first party, this summer, even though it's 30 years or so after I went to my first party, I still firmly believe that the kids who go to their first party this weekend have that same feeling that I first had when I went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely loving the sound that's out that's popular right now. House and techno is alive and well, like over the past 5 or so years, or even longer, But I do remember an era, like what was it, like 2011, 2012, when like you're kind of talking about like this main stage, like I don't even know what you want to call it, like these, hard house,
Yeah.
big room house. I didn't really care for it as much, but I think the music that's out right now I'm loving it. Yeah.
And the way there's always an underground, and there's always a way to find music. And if you're not liking what is on the main stage, there's always a side stage.
Yeah.
And I would have hoped for people to go and look for music. The thing about when I first started DJing was like there was no place to hear rave music except at raves, right?
Oh yeah.
Now you can hear rave music watching any commercial. There's always you watch anything on MTV, in the background there's some sort of rave music. So but there's always an underground. Even right now, there's people making really good underground music. So
it's alive and well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, at no point has the underground ever stopped. It waxes and wanes as far as popularity is concerned, but the underground is always going to be there.
Yeah.
And that's and so to me, there's always hope for better music.
Yeah. Okay, so you touched on it for a second there. Talk to us about the early days of Nocturnal and EDC, and maybe your first time playing at one of these events.
The first time I played for Pasquale actually was the 1 year anniversary party for Insomniac After Hours, and that was in 1994.
Wow!
And it was at the Shark Club in downtown LA, and it was me. Headlining was Joey Beltram, DJ Trance, and REW did a 2x4. Simply Jeff, DJ Dan, I think was there too. It was a really good time. But that was my first experience playing for an Insomniac show, and then from there, Pasquale kept hiring me for nocturnals and EDCs and stuff. And I've been fortunate enough to play quite a few. One of my favorite though was the Nocturnal Wonderland in 2000.
I was about to ask you about that. Yeah.
At the Polo Fields.
Polo Fields. Yeah.
So it was really, I think there was only one Coachella at that time, so it wasn't really known as the Coachella spot.
Oh, wow.
But that party was crazy. All I remember is I had a super long set because traffic was so bad to get into the party that Mars was supposed to DJ on after me, and it took him forever to get inside and get to the actual venue and stage. So I just kept playing. I felt like I was DJing forever that night. It was a lot of fun.
That was the only time it was at the Polo Fields, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So kind of moving on. So what led to your decision to move to Hawaii and then return to California? And how did these changes impact your career?
Um, this decision was in 2018. I was working for an organization, and I kind of felt like it was going to run its course. That we were kind of going to have to close up shop, and so I
Mm,
decided to look for work. My wife and I and good friends of ours, we were vacationing in Hawaii at the time, and I decided, well, we like it here. We've been going to the islands for a long time, and I just decided just to apply and see what happened. And yeah, I ended up interviewing for a director of IT position at Hawaii Health Centers or Hawaii Health Systems.
mm,
And I interviewed in November of 2018. I got the job offer in December, and then January of 2019, I moved. And the decision was um, I was offered it, and they offered to pay my way. Um, moving to Hawaii is not cheap.
mm-hmm.
So you have a company who's willing to pay for you to live there, to move
Yeah.
there, to live there. If I didn't do it, I would have regretted not ever trying.
Yeah.
So an opportunity was presented, and I felt that if I didn't do it, I'll always wonder what if. And I have a big thing about trying to not live a what if life.
Yeah.
So that was, the impact that it had at the time, as far, is basically, luckily I had connections in Hawaii because I've been going to Hawaii a long time. So I was able to kind of just start DJing there.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like DJing in LA, obviously.
Mm, yeah.
Um, but my focus was on something else at that time, was like, setting up a new kind of life in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Um, but I missed DJing in LA, and I missed my
Mm,
family, and I missed my friends. And um, I think ultimately living in Hawaii is a lot different than vacationing in Hawaii.
mm,
I didn't know a lot of the things I know now about, working in Hawaii. Like, there's not a lot of career advancement or career growth there. So, I didn't want to leave prematurely, but I also didn't want to miss a good opportunity. So, when the position at UCSB came up and I applied for it, it took a long time. 3 rounds of interviews. Started
oh wow.
interviewing in September of 2019 and didn't really get the job until like December. Um,
Mm,
so it took a while to land the job. And but my wife and I were kind of like thinking, well, to move mainland, but we were looking at Oregon, because my job actually was in Portland at the time.
mm,
And but the opportunity at UCSB was just kind of too good to pass up, and it's been great.
yeah.
I've been there a little over 3.5 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and what's nice is that living up here kind of feels like Hawaii a lot.
Oh, okay.
The same vibe. I tell people it's like Hawaii, but with more white people, basically. um, oh yes, my wife wanted to remind you. I don't know when this is airing, but the Maui wildfires just happened last week.
Yeah.
We're doing a fundraiser for the efforts to get Lahaina back on his feet, and the rest of
Mm, yeah,
the
man.
affected in Maui. So,
Yeah.
even though I moved away from Hawaii, and my wife and I have a special tie to the island. I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it's a spiritual home, if not a physical home.
Mm-hmm.
It's living there. You kind of you take the aloha with you, right?
Mm,
So it's taught me a lot. by living there. It's taught me to be appreciative, to enjoy moments as they happen, to not worry so much. So there's a lot of positive things that came out of Hawaii. Now, when you said career and how it's impacted my career, I look at it two ways, right? I look at my IT career.
Yeah.
And I look at, the DJing. It's always weird when people say DJing career because I still think of it as fun and a hobby. um, you know, as much success or lack of a better word, infamy that I've gotten from DJing. Like my boss knows that I'm a DJ, and I almost didn't get hired, or some people actually who were on the hiring committee at the job at UCSB had issue with me being a
Wow.
DJ.
Wow.
Well, I get it.
Yeah.
Being a rave DJ is kind of it can be. Well, does he do drugs every weekend?
Yeah.
I get it,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally understand people's thinking on that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad my boss was able to, look at past that and kind of look at my experience and pick me for the job. And I think it's been a good run. So the impact of Hawaii on my current career is because I don't think I would be in the position at UCSB if Hawaii didn't happen. So I think everything leads up to
Yeah.
I'm at now. From a DJing perspective, I really appreciate being able to play it as often as I do these days, because the way I look at it is that I have less gigs in front of me than I do behind me. I don't have another 30 years of this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be as appreciative as I can for every opportunity that's presented to me. I don't want to waste my time anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not looking to be I don't care if this is all it ever is. I've had a good run. I don't need any more than what I have. If I get to play larger stages and I get to travel more, and great. If I don't, great. It's been fun.
Yeah.
DJing has given me more than I could ever give back to it, to be honest. And so for that, I'm appreciative. And for that, to want more, honestly, I would feel like a dick.
Wow.
Because it's already given me so much.
It's very humble of you, and I love that response. Yeah, I think it was when you had just come back to California from Hawaii. I think that was my first time seeing you live. I saw you at the Grand Park when they did the Sunday sessions.
Actually, that was almost exactly 4 years ago, and I was actually still living in Hawaii.
Okay.
I was brought out to do that show.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing you then, and you killed it. And
thank you.
That was an amazing experience. I don't think they've been having those this year.
Well, then COVID happened, and I don't know what's going on now with that. But that was a lot of fun. That was a good time.
Okay, so how do you see the evolution of the dance music scene over the years, and what do you believe the future holds for us all?
Ooh, I can play Nostradamus. Predict the future. I think, like I said, I never thought it would be where it's at now. I didn't ever, when I was 18 and, wandering around the back streets of Hollywood and downtown LA searching for parties, I never thought in a million years, yeah, dude, we're going to have 400,000 people go to Vegas every week, on a weekend. No. If you would have told me that this would turn into that, I would have never believed you.
I wonder what Pasquale thinks about that too.
I think he's surprised, to be honest. I think, what it's turned into is, I actually was reading this interview of him from like 94. I was just reading it this week. And it's crazy to, at that point, he was doing a weekly after hours, which was the original Insomniac. Mm-hmm. And he was just wanting to actually throw one-off parties. And at that point, even like early on in his career, he was talking about, yeah, maybe I'll quit this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good read if it's Network Magazine if you can actually find the archive of it online.
Mm,
But there's an interview with Pasquale from like '94, and
wow.
pretty fascinating to read what he was thinking about at that time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, what's next? You know, you know, how is, right now you can actually, go to Coachella by never going to Coachella because you can watch it on TV. Yeah. Um, is there going to be some sort of augmented reality where
Oh yeah.
you can attend festivals by not attending festivals? I
Oh
don't.
yeah.
It'd be interesting to watch. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I never thought we would be here,
Yeah.
where you have people, you have thousands and thousands of people going to these events,
Hmm.
and people making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
It's crazy to see what it's turned into,
Yeah.
and just to feel like I had a small part of the birth of that is pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. What advice would you give to an emerging DJ like myself who is looking to find a way to establish themselves in the industry?
Okay, so it depends on what your goals are, right? If you're looking to, this to be your only thing, um, I would always suggest have a plan B to anybody. The truth of it is, at one point in my life, I wanted to be a chef, and I thought about going to culinary school. And and the reason I wanted to be a chef is because I liked what I saw on TV, like Bobby Flay and all these. And but the truth of it is, there's only one Bobby Flay,
Hmm.
and there's the likelihood of anyone becoming an
Yeah.
international DJ where they can travel the world is small,
Yeah.
really small. So plan B, have a plan B.
Mm.
Whatever that is to you is up to you. I'm living in my plan B, and I'll tell you what, I could not be happier about it. When I tell people at
Mm.
work, yeah, I'm like, this is my plan B. I didn't expect, I was hoping to travel around the world and DJ and play music forever, but that didn't work out. So
Hmm.
I have plan B, and plan B is still awesome because plan B is I work a really cool job. I get paid really well, and I still get to DJ.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That plan B fucking rocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think sometimes people look at plan Bs as failure,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's alternative. And failure is not going after your dream.
Yeah.
Failure is not knowing when to put it down and work on plan B. That's failure. But if you want it, go after it. If
Hmm.
this is what you feel, do it. But also keep in mind that be smart about it.
Yeah.
Know when, you know, if your life changes, if you end up having a child, or if things in your life move a different direction, then maybe it's, you got to put, the dreams aside and focus
Yeah.
on other things.
Hmm.
So, while you can, do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But also keep in mind that as your life changes, that you may need to change the priorities in your life as well.
Yeah.
But I'm all about people going after their shit, but just being smart about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely know what you mean. Part of me has this feeling where I'm like, DJing is my plan B. I enjoy marketing. I work in advertising. I'm just like a naturally creative person. I just enjoy doing things. So I enjoy my marketing career. I enjoy doing things like this podcast. I enjoy DJing, making music. But part of me has this feeling is like, DJing is my real passion. But if I made it my job, then it becomes a job, and then I wouldn't enjoy it as much. This is the thing I do on the weekends, and I'm always gonna love it. Like
Right.
if I get paid $50, if I get paid $100, if I get paid nothing, like I enjoy doing it. So it's like I don't. Part of me doesn't want to turn it into a job because then it makes it a job, and then I wouldn't enjoy it as much.
So I will tell you from experience. I lived off of DJing for 4 years, where I was just a DJ and just living my life from DJing, and that was from 2000 to 2004. Okay, and it was a great experience, but it also turned DJing into a job.
Yeah.
And I took gigs I didn't want to take.
Oh.
I played sets I didn't want to play
Oh yeah.
in order to get paid so I could pay my bills. Um, there is a lot of power in saying no.
Oh yeah.
And you know, picking and choosing what you would like to do instead of feeling like you have to do it in order to pay your bills.
Yeah.
So I recently read a book by Rick Rubin about creativity, and I would highly suggest it if you haven't read it, or anyone out there, please read this book. It's a very great book about being creative. And one of the chapters towards the end was like, your art doesn't owe you a living. Your art does not owe you a living. And I thought that was so profound, because I think we tell people all the time to go follow your dreams. And if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And his thing was like, look, find a job that's adjacent to what you like, marketing for electronic music or whatever that means to you. Find something that's in the wheelhouse of what you are passionate about, and find a job that will pay you around that. Or find a position where it allows you the time and the personal freedom to actually go and pursue your passions. And that's what I have. I have an IT career that allows me the opportunity to go and DJ every weekend, and still focus on my passions and my creativity. In fact, if you go into my office at work, you'll find a ton of records and pretty much a little studio.
Nice.
Because I can be creative whenever I want to be creative. So, and my boss and my job has allowed me to be creative when I need to be creative, and that's been cool. So yeah, if you can find something that works for you, that allows you to be creative and not turn your passion into the only thing that makes you money, that probably may be the way to go.
Yeah. Because it's like when you look at DJs in the scene, like how many Tiestos are there that like there's not that many. Like they come and they go. You know what I mean? So if you put all your eggs in one basket, yeah.
Or the ones that like Tiesto is a good example, because he's been around forever and he isn't going anywhere. So the thing is, the people who are on top or are still on top and have been staying on top, they're not going anywhere. So and they're fighting just as hard to keep you interested and keep a crowd interested in them. So yeah, it's tough. It is a very tough market. Absolutely. And it's called a music business because it is a business, and it'll chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to have a thick skin. You got to learn how to handle rejection and people telling you no and you can't, and that's just part of it.
Yeah, because if you even look at these music lineups, these flyers, it's a new roster of talent every 5 years or every year. They're always coming in. So yeah.
The one thing that people no matter what, the one thing people can't take away from the OG DJs is the history. We live it, and we've been there, we've done that. So if, like I told you, like if this is the last time I ever DJ'd, was this weekend, I'm fine with that. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. So your commitment to staying true to your artistic integrity is evident. Could you discuss how you navigate staying authentic while also adapting to the changes in the industry?
I think for me, it's been pretty easy, just because it's never mattered. The way I've always treated it is if people want to book me, they book me. If they don't, they don't. I don't really, um,
I'm the same way.
yeah, I don't really go for like, I've never begged for a gig. I've never looked at what other people are doing and saying, "Oh, I wish I was like them." I just do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because everybody's experience is different. My experience is different, and yeah, that's all it's been.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like navigating the underground scene can be a bit tricky. Me and you were both on the news. I don't know if you're aware of that. I was watching a video on YouTube for the San Diego underground rave scene, and then next thing I know is a flyer pops up with your name, with your name on it, and then it was a video of me DJing, but they blurred out my name. Uh, yeah, so I definitely feel like navigating the underground scene can be a bit tricky.
So you were the DJ that was on when they actually filmed?
I think I played two events before you. Yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
on the news, they used my video, and I was like,
Oh,
"Oh, dude, that's my video." And then I was like, "Oh, there's Theo's flyer."
yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking forwad to that. We were in San Diego for my nephew's birthday. He just turned 21, and I was looking forward to playing at that spot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the cops kind of were stressing, and it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I've been used to so many like parties getting shut down or busted or things happening, and like it doesn't even faze me anymore. It's like, oh, now I get to sleep. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to ask you, so what are some of your musical inspirations at the current moment? It could be, fellow DJs or other artists or other genres.
Really, it's just to keep playing, just keep enjoying it, I want to start working on new music. I've been lagging on work. I have people who want to collaborate and work on music with me, and I really should. It's just been hard with time.
Yeah.
Right now, living so far from LA and going to LA so often, it's like an hour and a half to 2 hours just to get to LA, and and when I'm there, I want to stay for a while. So it eats up a lot of time.
Hmm.
Uh, but I do need to make more time to actually work on music. But yeah, that's something I need to do.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of closing it out, looking back at your journey so far, what are you most proud of accomplishing, and what aspirations do you have for the next chapter?
I'm most proud that I'm still alive. To be quite, I've had been through a lot, and um, I don't know, accomplishments is like I've played a lot of cool places. I've seen a lot of cool things. I've been married now for coming up on 19 years. So, and I met my wife at a dirty warehouse floor in downtown LA. So I think that's my greatest accomplishment is that I've met a girl at a rave and we're still together. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
Still together, right?
Okay, so and what is the vision for the future of your work? And can you send the ravers out there a final message of love?
Sure. So as far as music, just like finding the time to be creative and write new tracks and, kind of focus on that. That's really where I would like to see myself is really just ending this out with some good music that I've produced.
Nice.
And then as far as a message, enjoy it. Every moment. You're young, keep being young as long as you can. I'm going to be 50 this year, and I still don't know what that means. I remember when I was 18 and I thought of what 50 was. It doesn't feel like what I thought it would be.
Hmm.
I don't feel like I'm turning 50. I don't even know what that means. Because I'm still kind of doing the same things I did when I was 18, still going out and DJing and having fun.
Yeah.
So, but if this is in your heart, keep it going. If you love it as much as you can, and keep the fire going. And honestly, for new people out there, learn about the old DJs, learn about the roots of the scene, learn about, the roots of Insomniac and Pasquale and where this all came from. It's a big story. It's a very rich history involved in the rave scene. And if you're only just going to EDC because it's the cool thing to do, then you're missing the story.
Yep.
Story is really, really cool.
Hmm. Cool. So I want to thank you so much, Theo. Thank you for meeting with me today. Thank
Of
you for
course, Daniel.
providing such great wisdom and insights on this episode. I want to thank the listeners for sticking around to the end. So, Theo, please tell everyone where to find your information,
Sure.
and I'll also add it to the description of the video.
Sure. Just go to djtheo.com or my SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Theo. You'll find pretty much anything you need there. I have tons of mixes on there, going all the way back to like '92. So if you're interested in hearing some roots, there's plenty of it there. And Daniel, if would like to, talk further about, your goals and what you want to do, let's talk offline. And if any way I can help you, I would definitely do what I can.
Wow, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem, man.
Thank you. Have a good one. Bye.